Okay, our next step in this printing process is actually carving. So what you've done so far is you've made 4 different designs in each section of the paper. After that, after you and I select a design, we'll go ahead and color in the back nice and firm with your pencil. And then you're going to place that paper on top of your linoleum square, press through, and your image will be transferred. After that, and we've talked about all this, and after that you will either use a marker or a pen and fill it in. So for the most part, this is all just one flat piece with Sharpie on my design and just sort of left plain for where I need to carve. Now, with the whole carving bit, there are 4 different blades that you're going to be able to choose from. Some are for detail and some are for what's called gouging. And gouging is just mass removal of your printmaking material. So I'll show you this one. This first blade that we have here, if you can see in the screen, it kind of looks like a U. And what the U does is it's meant for removing large amounts. It's a pretty thick line that is created there. A similar tool, so if you're using a U or you're using one of these shaped tools, it's sort of a similar thing. This is a hook. It's a safety blade, and it's actually really great for removing large amounts of negative space. So you have a blade on one side and only one side. Some folks try to use the other and it doesn't work. And all you do with that is pull towards you and it kind of peels like a carrot, and that's good for really, really thick line removal. The next blade that you can use is what's called a V. And if you see there, it just looks like the letter V right on the tip. There's the blade edge. And this is good for details and outlining. I just push away from myself. Sometimes it can slip pretty easily, so that's why we have to pay attention to our safety sort of rules with this that I will discuss with you. So we have sort of detail lines, and that's pretty easy. And I'll show you how this one works because you'll want to use the V tip the most. And then finally we have little baby V over here. It's a teeny tiny little blade, and that's really good for small details, or if you're trying to do sort of different techniques with printmaking, making lines, doing texture, things of that nature. So that's what baby V is for. You're probably not going to want to use this one too much. You'll probably primarily use one of the hook and the V for the most part. Okay, so here I have my design on my linoleum, and I have darkened everything in that needs to stay, and everything that is that tan color is going to end up getting removed. So I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see it. There's sort of a texture here where I've started to remove some of my linoleum. You need to remove at least 50% of the thickness of that linoleum in order to get a nice clean print. So the first thing I'm going to do when I am using this linoleum cutter is I'm going to go around the outlines of my image. So all I'm going to do is making sure that my non-working hand stays behind the blade. If my hand is next to the blade, I will end up getting a major gouge in my skin, and you don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I'm always pushed up against the bumper of the bench stop, and I'm going to stay on sort of a 45-degree angle, not totally straight up and down, but not totally flat, kind of halfway in between there, and I'm going to slowly start to push my blade right through that linoleum. And when I get to sort of a stopping point or a point I want to turn, I'm going to stop, pop it up, kind of flip it over, and change my angle. I can push my linoleum up against the bumper here, or I can go flat one more time. So I'm going to keep pushing and changing my angle, making sure my non-working hand is staying behind the action and not working. I'm going to push up against this and keep going. And what I'm going to try to do is just go around my outline. I just want to isolate my negative space from my positive space. Then at that point, what I want to do is I want to start using my hook or my major gouger. And to do that and to do the most clean job possible is I kind of grab in to where I've already cut and I pull away from that edge. You want to be really super careful that you're not running into any of the black outlines, because that's your image. The more you cut into that image, the smaller and smaller it will get, and the less detail you'll actually end up having. So you want to be super careful with that. So you'll probably end up wanting to have 2 blades next to you, and you're going to probably end up sharing with people at your table. because we don't have enough for everybody to have a full set, but y'all will be able to have more than enough in front of you. And that is it. It's just a whole lot of cutting, a whole lot of turning, a whole lot of making sure that your fingers stay out of the way. There you go.